Let's begin. Recording in progress. Okay, so you don't necessarily need a mat. I just have a pretty slippery rug. It is great to do this barefoot, but it is winter and we are in the Northeast, and it's not good to have your feet too cold. So if you need to have socks on, that's okay. It just might be some of the things that we do. You might find the floor gets a little slippery with socks on. But let's start with your feet standing. Your feet about outer hip distance apart. And we'll start with some wave breathing. So one hand on the lower abdomen, the other hand on your chest. Let me just do one more thing here. And we'll start a three-part breath, meaning we focus the inhale starting from the belly. So the belly puffs out. And as you inhale, the inhale rises up through the rib cage, up to the chest. And then as we start to exhale, first the chest collapses down, the ribs pull in, and then the belly pulls in. So we inhale from the belly, chest, belly, ribs, chest, and then chest, ribs, belly. So this is there's a reason why we do this first. One is breathing really brings us, if we're focusing and using the breath as a form of meditation, it helps to bring our focus into the present moment. It's really hard to kind of focus on the breath and pay attention to it while also paying attention to all the thoughts that are going on. So it's a good way to kind of wrangle the attention. And it also allows us to get a full expansion of the lungs, take in, a decent amount of air, right, which gets to circulate throughout the body, and that already starts to have physiological effects. And it really is a way of starting to produce or induce a parasympathetic response. It's nice and slowly letting the air come in, rise up, and then a nice slow exhale. And then let your arms drop down. So the first, we call it opening exercises, are for the spine, since that's the central column of energy. Our nerves, branch off from it. It's really important to maintain health in the spine. So we go through a couple of sequences to help open up the spine in different ways. So the first is called spinal cord breathing. Excuse me. We'll go first into knocking on the door of life. So we move from the hips and the waist. It's just a rotation back and forth, and the arms are nice and loose. So they kind of just dangle down. And as you rotate right to left, pick up a little momentum. And then you'll notice that the arms will start just knocking across naturally, across the lower abdomen and the lower back. So think of this sort of like sending little tiny micro shock waves through the spine from the base up. And it also just so happens that in doing this, we knock across a few key acupressure points that help to stimulate energy that are located the base of the spine, the lumbar area. And we're also giving the internal organs a pretty gentle but nice stimulation here. And then let's come up, keep rotating. You're just going to bring that front arm up just below the shoulder. So the area the side of the chest, just below the shoulder. So you're knocking basically over the lung area. Just sending little gentle vibrations through the actual organs themselves, as well as the channels that we refer to in acupuncture and acupressure. And then we'll come all the way to the top of the shoulders. So you're just gonna slap, keep knocking across the back as well. So you'll see you're still turning and knocking across this area, but you're also slapping gently the very top of the shoulders, helping to start to alleviate some of the tension that tends to accumulate there. And then let's come back down below the collarbone. And then all the way back down to the waist. And then let's start to unwind. So just gently start to slow the movement down until you are in stillness just for a moment, noticing how you're feeling. And then we'll go into spinal cord breathing. So that was rotation that we just did. This is flexion and extension. So on the inhale, bring the hands up by the face as you look up. So you're getting a little stretch in the front of the spine. And then as you exhale, curl the spine forward, tucking the tailbone down. So you're creating some space in the lumbar area. And then the chin tucks in slightly. So you get a nice stretch from the base of the spine all the way up to the cranium. And then slowly inhale, unfurl, and look up in the inhale. And then again, exhale, rounding forward. So nice and slowly. We're gonna inhale and stretch. You get a nice stretch through the pectoral area as well. And then exhale forward. So just gently creating a nice extension and flexion. So it's also working like a pump. It's activating something called the cranial sacral pump, right? It's helping to pump the cerebral spinal fluid up through and circulate through the spine. We're also giving some mobility exercises to each of the joints of the spine. And the slow movement, that rhythmic pulsation is really soothing for the nervous system. Nice slow inhale. Also, during most of these movements, the breath primarily it should be in through the nose and out through the nose, unless you have some, congestion or issues and that's not possible. There are some movements that are more clearing, as we say, that we exhale through the mouth, and I will cue you when those occur. So otherwise, it's a nice slow inhale through the nose and then a slow exhale through the nose. And let's do one more inhale. And then exhale, let the arms just drop down. Okay, so even just doing spinal cord opening exercises are really fantastic for the nervous system. So that alone, and it also awakens the body. So now we'll go into a few clearing and cleansing exercises. One that I love, tiger clears the way. Everything's very poetic. So we'll start with making these little like pseudo claws with the hands, and then bring the hands above the head. So tiger clears the way. We bend the knees, and as we do, you start to bring the arms down Now, as the knees straighten, you're going to bring the arms out to the sides and then bend the knees again and bring the arms down and then straighten and the hands come back up. So it's a bend as the arms come down, straighten, the arms go to the sides, bend, come back down, and then inhale. So then if you start to pump the legs and build a little momentum, think about inhaling through the nose. And this is actually a great one to exhale through the mouth. So if you inhale, a great way to start to build some heat, right? We're exhaling through the mouth, which is more of a purging type of breath work. Just think about taking anything that's maybe stress in the body or stress in the mind, and you're just purging it out on the exhale. Let's do two more. And then one more, arms come up. Let's cross the arms at the midway of the forearm. Take a nice inhale. And as you exhale, a nice slow exhale. Okay, so your heart might be pumping a little bit. Great. That's great. We're starting to build some nice circulation. And let's now go into a wider stance. And then the hands will come to the above your knee on your thighs. So moving the body like a river. So I'm going to shift the weight from one side to the next. So from the right to the left. And as we do, think about moving first your hips and then the torso and then the rest of the body follows suit. So it looks like this. You're going to inhale, right? And now hips move and the body rolls to the side. So you start to get a nice lateral movement here, which is great for the spine, right? Another way that the spine moves that I don't think is we do on a day-to-day basis as often. So inhale and then exhale. Just think about letting the arms be nice and relaxed, right? Even though we're moving within the structure, we want to create a little bit of fluidity, right? And fluidity needs a little bit of relaxation. So removing the body with as much relaxation, releasing tension as possible. Inhaling and exhaling through the nose. And if you want to make it a little more challenging, you can bring your torso a little more parallel to the ground, or you can be a little more perpendicular or upright, making the movement a little bit more gentle. And then let's come to the center for a moment. And then just fold, keeping your knees slightly bent, just fold forward. Getting a nice stretch to the hamstrings and the lower back. And then let's start to roll up, stacking the vertebrae one on top of the other. You can grab one wrist with the opposite hand. And then as you come all the way up, just stretch up. And now we'll make a few full body waves here. So keeping those knees nice and bent to protect your knees. And inhale, and then as we exhale with a flat back, you're gonna reach forward and then all the way to the ground. And then keeping the knees bent, you're going to roll all the way up on the inhale. And then exhale, fold forward. And then inhale, roll up. And exhale, fold forward. Do that 2 more times. Nice inhale and a slow exhale. And one last inhale. And one last exhale. Now slowly roll up. And then let the arms come down by your sides. Okay, let's bring those feet back to a more narrow position. And let's just do a little stretch for the head, neck, and shoulders and chi massage before we go into our flows. So this is called dragon stretches its tail. So you start with, I'm going to mirror you. So whatever I say, that's your right or left. So if I'm here, it's going to be your left, my right. So hands over to your left, your palms are facing you. Take a nice inhale. And as we exhale, turn to the palms face away from you and then press over to the side of the room. Turn your head and look in the opposite direction. And then turn your head back. And as you do, inhale the hands back in towards you. And then exhale, push away as you turn and look over to the right. So nice, slow inhale. So slowly inhale, hands come in. And a nice, slow exhale, pushing away and turning over to the right. So you should feel a little bit of a stretch through the shoulder, through the neck, through even the arms, the forearms. That left arm, you might feel all the way into the fingers. And inhale. And exhale. Inhale. And exhale. Let's pause here. Let's pause, head turned over to the right. You can take a few inhales and exhales, just letting your arms be as as stretched over to the side as much as possible. And then inhale back to the center, let the arms drop down, and let's pause here. Okay, now the opposite side. So your right, palms face you, nice inhale, and then exhale, push away as you turn and look to the left. And then back the center, looking towards your hands, turn and look left. So moving on the breath, which is one of the main principles of QiGong. The first is move with relaxation, right? That's one of the main principles. Moving on the breath. So we inhale, and then just as we start to exhale, we move with the exhale. Another premise, the third principle, is that we move from the center, which we'll see a lot in the flows. And let's pause, arms stretched over to the right, head turned over to the left, and just breathe here for a moment. And let your arms drop down. Okay, you can shake it out a little bit. So it really helps to unlock tension in the shoulders and the neck. And it gives the forearms, which sometimes get neglected, especially if we're on the devices. These muscles can get really tight. So it's a really great way to stretch those lines. Okay, let's do some little chi massage and then we'll go into our flows. So chi massage is we activate basically the whole body, the different channels, either by knocking or if you just feel like tapping or slapping. I prefer knocking for most of it. So it's a loose fist, and you just start knocking. We'll start at the chest, knocking up and down the sternum. This is sort of an activation and also a clearing because we hold a lot of emotions in our tissue. So if we start to activate and mobilize, then we can use intention, right, to let go of some of the stuff that's accumulated, especially these days. And let's drop down to the solar plexus area, just below the rib cage. And then down below the belly button. And let's come back up to the top of the sternum and come over to the front of the right shoulder. Now we'll travel down the inside of the arm to the hands, and then we'll come up the outside. So this is where I actually like to slap. It's a little bit easier. So from the shoulder, we'll work our way down the inside of the arm to the fingertips. And then from the fingertips, coming up the outside of the arm, elbow, back to the shoulder. And then we will repeat that circuit 2 more times. So we're just following the lines, the channels in Chinese medicine. The yin channels of the arm run down the inside, the lung, pericardium, and heart. And then the yang channels travel from the fingertips up, large intestine, small intestine, and sanjiao. And let's come over to the front of the left shoulder. And then we'll travel down the inside of this arm, coming up the outside. And again. And then a third time. Coming to the center of the chest again. Now let's travel down to the lower abdomen and then all the way to the back. So the area of the lumbar. You can kind of work your hands around. Maybe there's some tightness in a certain area that you can give a little more attention to. And now we'll travel down to the hamstrings. This is where you can also open up your hands and slap. It's a little easier. From the hamstrings, traveling down to the back of the knees, down the calves, all the way to the feet, and then coming up the inside. I'll turn around so you can see me. The inside, back up to the hips. And then let's come back around again, travel down the back of the legs, and then up the inside. And one more time. And hands in the lower abdomen, right over the belly button. And then let the arms drop down. And let's close our eyes for a moment, just feeling the energy. You might even feel it pulsating, like your whole body sort of tingling, like it's lit up like a Christmas tree. So now that we've done some stretching, we've done a little clearing, some activating, like we feel our, we have an abundance of energy. Sometimes we're not necessarily aware of it until it becomes more activated. And now that it's activated and mobilized, we can use these flows intentionally to create a certain resonance internally that helps to increase our energy and vitality and decrease stress. Okay, so let's start with Buddha holding up the earth, and then we'll go into um, the heaven and earth flow. So Buddha holding up the earth. We'll start with the palms facing up, so your arms are rounded. And as we inhale, you're going to slowly raise your hands up. The hands turn towards your lungs, and then they rotate outward and then up towards the sky. And on the inhale, the hands turn to the palms are facing down, and we just let them float back down to the starting point. So the hands are facing up, they turn in and then out and then up. And then exhaling, the hands float back down, palms down and then in and then up. So the arms just sort of rotate inward and outward. So the goal here, right, after we get the mechanics, you're inhaling the hands all the way up and a nice slow exhale all the way down. So again, that principle of moving on the breath and then also moving with relaxation. So just imagine that your hands are floating through water. Think about how if your hands were in water, they're coming back down or floating back down, right? There's a certain quality and slowness. So inhale, a little pause at the top of the inhale, and then slowly exhale, the arms float back down. And also tiny pause at the end of the exhale. So inhale nice and slowly. Just think about relaxing the shoulders. As the hands float back down, just imagine relaxing the wrists, pulling up energy from the earth, right? And then pulling energy down from the space above us. Inhale. And nice slow exhale. And again. And as the hands come down, we're exhaling, the mind is becoming clearer and clearer. We're focusing on our breath so that we are in the present moment. We're focusing, we're integrating. It's an alchemy, really, right? Of the energy of the mind, the energy of our emotions, and our physical body, right? And when they're all in alignment, right, that's when we can achieve these flow states where it feels like there's this effortlessness and ease. And if the mind wanders, just gently reconnect with your attention to your breath, this movement, moving slowly with intention. If a lot of things that we do in the exercise realm are, physically, they're physically, the focus on is on the physicality, right? So we can kind of like check out. I am certainly in that boat, like to run, and that happens a lot. This is a practice of tuning in, right? Our mind is really kind of clearly focused on the breath, on calming the the chatter of the mind and soothing the heart, the emotions, and then feeling the vibrancy of our bodies. On the next inhale, let's leave. Well, if you're with me, you're gonna leave your left hand facing the sky, right hand facing the earth. This is called connecting to heaven above and earth below, or the universe above and the earth below, whatever words speak to you. It's about connecting to this sort of invisible or ethereal energy above, and then this very dense yin earth energy below, like this the gravitational pull that is a heavy, dense energy compared to above. So we're kind of connecting to both because we stand in between those two. Nature, the earth around us, right, is a manifestation of an integration of what's above and below. Feel the center of the palms, right? What's below that? What does that feel like energetically compared to above? And then let's turn that the hands so they're facing one another. Inhale, and let's let that top hand float back down on the exhale. So bring the hands almost together, maybe 5 or 6 inches apart, and just play with this. Play with moving the hands maybe in a circular way or form. We call this the chi ball. It's this invisible ball that we often will come back to in qigong, right? And even though there's space here, right, if you start to sort of pulse your hands, you might find that sort of magnetic push and pull. There's a denseness about it. And then let's turn this ball 3 times. So if your left hand's on top, let's turn once. So the right hand's on top, and then again, so left is, and then again, so that your right is. And now inhale, float that right hand all the way up. And then again, we'll turn so the palms are facing above and below. Pause here. Just feeling the space above and below. Right? How we can pull and integrate energy from this, gravity, this earth below, and this really kind of magical, invisible, ethereal energy above. And then turn so the palms are facing one another. On the next exhale, float that top hand down. And then we'll turn 3 times again. So 1, 2, 3. Inhale, that top hand comes all the way up. Nice, relaxed wrists. Palms face up and down. Nice inhale. And then exhale, that top hand floats back down. And then turn. 1, 2, 3. And then inhale that top hand, nice and relaxed. Just think about a hot air balloon, right? Inhaling, the hot air balloon goes up. We exhale, bring that hand down, the hot air balloon descends. And then let's turn 3 times. Inhale and float back down. So we're trying to create like an energetic alchemy, right? We're using our intention, attention, our breath, our physical body, right? Just connecting to the space around us. What's around us, what is 99.9% of what's around us is actually invisible, right? We focus, let's bring that hand down again, focus on the matter, right? The physical objects, but There's a lot going on in the space, in this field. We'll call it a field. Inhale, right? And so this is a practice of how do we feel moving through these fields? How do we feel, right, in our minds and our emotions, and how we can use this practice to skillfully work with our energy and know how to change it, really, to change the dial when we need to or want to feel more integrated, more connected, less stressed, more spaciousness, clear thinking. Let's do this one last time. So let's inhale and then exhale back down. And let's come to the chi ball right to left now instead of above and below. And just pulse for a moment. Okay. So this next one is called Dragon Plays with its chi ball. So we'll go into the hands above and below again, but this time a wider space between the two, like a big beach ball. Okay, so let's have your left hand on top, right hand below. Okay, so we're going to turn over to the left so that your weight is a little bit more on the left foot. And then you're going to inhale. And as we do, just bring that beach ball in towards you. Now shift the weight to the back foot and you rotate over to the right. And as we do, rotate the hands. So now the right hand is on top, the left hand is on the bottom. Shift the weight to the back foot, draw that beach ball in, turn now over to the left. And as you do, start churning that ball. So now the left hand is on top. Inhale the ball in towards you and then shift the weight to the back foot and then turn. So there's three cues here, right? We turn the ball and then inhaling it towards you as we shift the weight to the back foot and then rotate. So now we start to make a little bit more of a fluid movement here. So we rotate, and as we rotate over, the ball rotates. And as we pull the ball in, we shift the weight to the back foot. This is a really good mind exercise as well, right? So there's a lot of moving parts here. So just turn the ball, inhale, pull in, shift the weight, and then rotate. We want to go nice and slowly. So inhale in, shift the weight to the back foot, and then rotate. Rotating the ball, draw in, shift the weight, and then rotate. So as the movements kind of flow into one another, like the lines between, right, they get blurred. So there's a dance-like fluidity. So as we're turning the ball, we're already starting to shift the weight to the back foot, rotating, rotating, pull in, and then going nice and slow. And then let's one more rotation and let's come to the center. And now the chi ball right in front of us. Have a pulse. Now let the arms drop down and let's inhale the arms out to the sides and all the way up on the inhale. And then exhale, the hands just float back down. Nice and slowly. Inhale. And exhale. Inhale. And exhale. And one more. Inhale. Bring the feet together. Exhale. One hand on top of the other, just below your belly button. And let's just pause here for a breath or two, just finding our center. And when you're ready, you can crack your eyes open. Thank you so much, everyone. And I'm so happy that you joined us today. Hopefully, we did the dragon plays with the chi balls a little more. There's a flows that are a little more simple and some that are a little more intricate, but the goal is, approach even me, approach each day and each one as like as a child, right? As with curiosity and like, how's this going to feel today? And like, that was a little tricky. So hopefully you feel pretty good though.
Yes, thank you.
Yes.
You are welcome. All right. Well, I will upload this again to YouTube so that you have it. And thank you for joining me, of course, as always. And I will hopefully see you next week. Oh, and for my Jersey City people, Mondays at 499 Palisade from 8 to 8:45, I'll be doing in-person QiGong classes now. For now.
So
We'll see how it
regularly
goes.
on Mondays?
Yep.
Awesome.
Great.
Yep.
8 to 8:45?
Yeah.
8 to 8:45. So if you have anyone that wants to join, please let them know if you want to join. I'm going to continue to do the virtual Fridays as well, but that's just so that you know.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right,
Thank you.
take care. Have a great day.
Thanks.